You are listening to Process with Brodes and D.Rey.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 11 of Processed. And normally we have some fun here, and I think we're going to have fun. But the problem is we will be discussing a situation, a moment in history that is sad for 76ers fans, as May 12th was the one-year anniversary of Kawhi Leonard's Game 7 shot. But before we dive into that, D.Rey, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good that it's no longer May 12th, but I'm a little sore right now. I've been working out, kind of ramping it up lately. I'm getting stir crazy in the house, and I think I pulled something.
You pulled something. No, well, give me some exercises that you're doing. Are we doing curls for the girls? Are we doing some chest press? Or are you going to tell me that you made a douchebag decision and started deadlifting, hang cleaning, and you went way too extreme?
Oh, no, I ain't clean up. I've been doing like split squats and hamstring curls and shit, and this is just
painful,
hurts, man.
It
hurts my pride. It hurts my pride more than anything.
Now, is this your first time really going and saying to yourself, I'm going to get back to that level of the gym? Or have you tried this before, failed, and then you're trying it again?
No. This is my first time really going this hard, so that's why it really hurts my pride. But I got to get through this, man. I can't let this be the end of the I ain't going to say the end of the journey and sound like LeBron, corny ass. But the end of this, I got to get back to it. Yeah, I said it.
You're such an asshole. I don't even like working with you. I'm forced to do it. It's ridiculous. So let's get into this nonsense today. And it's weird because when that happened, I was devastated. It hurt so bad. And I thought I would never want to see that play again. Put it away, lock it up. I don't care to see it. But today, and even though it's one day after the 1 year anniversary, whatever, it's close enough to say the 1 year anniversary, I'm okay with it. I can easily see it. I can watch it. I don't feel the pain. Is that weird?
No. I think it's one of those things that, if anything, you look at and it's like motivation. You know what I mean? Like, we really hope that we get past that point. I think it makes us excited for what could be. I'm not going to lie to you, though. I don't feel the same way. I hate how much it gets brought up. I remember one of my boys, Joel Brown, on Twitter, he posted it again and was like, I feel like this is the only game winner ever in NBA history at this point. And it's like, that's how it feels. And I guess because it was the most recent, exciting one, but like, that's how that shit feels. It feels like the Jordan shot didn't happen. Bron's bank shot didn't happen. Kobe shots didn't happen. None of those shots happened. For some reason, the only game winner people remember is that fucking Kawhi shot. So it hurts a little bit for me.
Well, here's the thing, though. We've seen how many Damian Lillard shots in the playoffs, and those happen all the time. I see them everywhere all the time. So I just feel because we are emotionally attached, you think that that's the only play that you see over and over again.
I think you're right. It's the emotional attachment, but it's the fact that one didn't go straight in. For example, somebody put together this video of, we were talking about Kanye last show. Not last show, show before last. And what's the one? Beautiful Morning on Life of Pablo.
Yes.
So it's like, doom.
Is that Father, Please Stretch My Hands?
Father, Stretch My Hands.
Yes, that's what it is.
And they synced it up to the damn ball falling in. And then when the beat drops, the ball goes in and they all celebrate. That shit hurts because they made it art. They made it cool. And I think that's why it gets shown so much. It wasn't a clean buzzer beater. It was a...
Well, I'm a beauty of sportsman. I love sports for the beauty of sports. And I had a conversation with one of my buddies about this when it comes to sports betting. Everybody loves sports betting, but it takes away, and we might have even talked about this too. It's a common convo I like to bring up. Sports betting takes away the beauty of March Madness. You're worried about the spread, but not how great it is to see a 14 seed actually win a basketball game. With that moment, it's so iconic that I'm at the point now where I appreciate it for what it is. I mean, that is going to go down in history when it comes to the sport of basketball. I don't know why I feel this way. I feel it is very out there and different compared to most Sixers fans, but I'm somewhat over it to an extent.
I'm not. Like I said, I love it. I see what you're saying. I appreciate it as a basketball fan, but it's just, come on, y'all. Come on. It was one game. God damn it. Just please put it away.
Put it away. Well, we watched Michael Jordan go through the bad boy Pistons, or at least attempt to go through the bad boy Pistons for a couple years. He had to keep battling through, and he eventually did that. This was brought up to me. With Joel Embiid, we saw him crying, hugging his girlfriend. We thought, after a couple days of realizing what occurred, that maybe this is a good thing. They would take the next step. They would bottle these emotions up and realize they got to work harder in the offseason. Then Joel Embiid played this year, and it didn't seem like he took that next step. Is that true? Did it look that way? Do you see it differently? I mean, if I lay that out to you, this whole scenario, they will lose, it will be crushing, they will learn from it, they'll cry, they'll come out next year and be better. I would say that did not happen.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I remember when that happened. Obviously, we talked about it, before we got on. I'll let you jump into it, but Ben Simmons was obviously taking a lot of criticism. But with Joel Embiid, with the whole crying thing, and then the next series, Giannis, he's crying leaving the tunnel. And they was like, I can't imagine what these two are about to be on this summer to come back. I said several times on record last year, I think Joel Embiid is going to use this to get in shape and realize how much more lethal he could be. They were right there. You know what I mean? And when you lose as a competitor and you were right there, you realize if I would have did just 3 things that, I could have done better, get in shape, take more inside shots, not have turnovers late in games, then we would have won by double digits, something like that. I thought he would have used that as fuel to come back with that type of energy. Did not happen. And I don't know what the hell happened. I really thought it was just going to be kicking the ass for them to just come back. Kind of how we saw in that Boys documentary when they lost against the Magic, and then the next year they have the best season ever. You know what I mean? Not saying they're the Bulls, just that shit was obvious fire. When they said Jordan was leaving the thing and they were like, all right, so let me know, take a couple weeks off, Mike, and let me know when you want to get back in the gym. I'll see you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, I was expecting that type of energy.
I agree completely. Now, it is funny, though, because there are people who are not patient with this Sixers team. It went from process right to let's win a championship. But those same people enjoy Michael Jordan's journey. They embrace what it meant to battle through the Pistons. And to me, that's just being a hypocrite. You can't love one and think that that's awesome because he's the greatest of all time, yet when it happens to the Sixers, they got to win a championship right away.
No, not necessarily win a championship right away. And I'm with you. At the end of the day, in the middle of the process, nobody likes to talk about how this is going to pay off in a couple of years. In 2013, those Sixers fans was, oh, man, I can't wait for 5 years down the line when this shit's over. You know what I mean? That wasn't the case. That wasn't the case at all. I'm not about to give anybody that type of pass. But you at least expected it to put a fire up under them, and that's what I didn't see.
I did not see that either. I really didn't. Now, this is courtesy of Kevin Kincaid of Crossing Broad, and it gives a couple pointers of things that occurred in Game 7. And the Sixers started 0 of 9 from the field. They had 40 points at halftime. They shot 24 less shots than the Raptors. They got crushed on the glass and 15 turnovers. Now, does that mean the Sixers are that good that they can find a way to still be engaged in the game with all of those flaws? Or did the Raptors do a poor job of putting away this Sixers squad?
Yeah, I think that sounds crazy to hear that how good that Raptors team were. At the end of the day, that was the championship team, and they couldn't deal with them. But like I said, as a Sixers team, y'all see, all right, we stunk that much. Imagine if we tightened up the ship here or there or there. If we did all 3, we beat them by double digits. And that's what we were expecting them to come out like this year, and it just didn't happen. It was weird.
Now, did that one shot change the Sixers franchise for the worst, possibly? Is there an Al Horford if they won that basketball game? I'm not even saying they would win the title. I'm not in the crowd of they would have automatically won. But if they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, Jimmy Butler has never been there. If he experienced that with the Sixers, is he more open to re-sign even though him and Brett Brown don't see eye to eye? Like, did this one shot by Kawhi Leonard change the outcome of the Sixers organization for years to come?
Hell yeah. He said on JJ Redick's podcast, he said, afterwards when he heard they were going through negotiations and then he heard somebody say, we're going to bring him back, but can you control Jimmy? That conversation doesn't happen if they win that game. At all. So that is kind of weird. I don't know. But I think he would have still been a Sixers uniform for that. I don't know about JJ Redick, but I think he definitely still would have been a Sixers uniform if it wasn't for that.
Well, J.J. Redick did say he had a conversation with Elton Brand previously, which sort of let him know where they were standing, as if this was going to be his last run in a Sixers uniform.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it changes his fate, but yeah, for Jimmy, probably.
But Jimmy really did not like Brett Brown. So, that conversation still could have happened. And even if that one specific one didn't occur where they asked if they can control him or not, there was enough there where I questioned how much Jimmy would value winning and being involved. Say they got to the NBA Finals and lost to the Warriors, because Kevin Durant wouldn't have ran the same, he wouldn't have ran the same way that he ran in that series against the Raptors. So I can't assume that he would have torn his Achilles. Why would I think that would happen? There's so much that can occur if the Sixers make the finals. If the Sixers made the finals and they did not win, Jimmy Butler, then what? Does he value that championship run over someone like Brett Brown if they don't see eye to eye? I mean, bringing in Al Horford and Josh Richardson, it could have been a totally different 5-year window.
Yeah, I think Jimmy is a bit of a wild card. When I really think about it, at the end of the day, I feel like the team moves that he's made outside of the ones that were kind of forced have been, and he's expressed it before, it's kind of just, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I want to go where I want to play, and that's really it. So maybe it doesn't change it a ton, but I can't imagine him walking away from it. They get that close, and it's just, all right, let's run it back. You know what I mean? Let's run it back. Maybe it only buys them a year, which ironically enough, this shit would have happened. And then, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Maybe that buys them a year, but I don't see anybody. The only person I see crazy enough to win or get that close to winning and then leaving is Kawhi. That's it. He was the only outlaw enough to be like, this is perfect. This is a great situation. But I got all I got out of it. I'm getting out of here. I don't see Jimmy Butler doing that with the Sixers. Because you're right. I don't see them winning. I could have seen, if they'd have got to the finals, it would have been like that year the Lakers played the Sixers in the finals with AI. And it's just, maybe we sneak one in there, but if KD's not hurt, you seen what happened when KD was healthy against the Raptors. And when he came back that game, when he was doing all that skipping shit in the back hallway, and then comes out and hits like his first 9 points, yeah, this is over. And then he tears his Achilles, and then it becomes a game. So I think they would have got swept as well. But it's the butterfly effect.
Right. It really is. And I wonder if Kawhi didn't win in Toronto, if he would have stayed there, as if he had a mission. If winning the championship made him feel satisfied, then it was easier for him to leave.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. What more is there to be had here? Everybody's getting a year older. This isn't probably going to be. At the end of the day, I look at that Toronto team a lot like I look at that 2011 Mavericks team. And they're not as bad. It wasn't as skewed, but in the sense of they were playing like that because they knew we got to make it happen now. Don't get me wrong. That's the beauty of having veterans and having them so locked in. Remember that 2011 Mavericks team that beat the Heat? Come on. Like, y'all serious? You put them in any other year, that shit ain't happening. But they were all clicking on a different level. And they were like, if we don't get it now, it ain't happening. We kept getting here. LeBron's not on this side, and we got Kawhi. Let's do it.
Let me put you in a Raptors fan's perspective. So you are a huge diehard fan of the Toronto Raptors. You are guaranteed one championship with Kawhi, or you lose that year in the finals, but you sign him for a 5-6 year window, which now you have a bigger window and a bigger chance to win more than one, or one is still good enough because you would have tied what you would have did anyway.
I take the chip.
You take the chip?
I take the chip. I take any day, because it's not guaranteed. That's what Jimmy Butler also spoke on. This shit ain't guaranteed. There's no knowing that this person's going to come back, that everybody's going to be healthy. Like the damn Bulls that year after they went that three-peat, they was like, we going for 4. And if you would have asked anybody if that team wouldn't have got 4, it's crazy. If you'd asked anybody if the Warriors wouldn't have got another championship, it'd been crazy. Injury here, a locker room issue there. You know what I mean? A front office change here. Next thing you know, you're looking at a completely different team. I take that chip.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the safe way to say. But with Kawhi, it's a very reasonable thing to assume that you could possibly go to 3 or 4 finals. With someone like Kawhi, I feel like it's different than, say, just Paul George. If you told me Paul George leads the Sixers to the championship, but then you have a 5-year window with him as the alternative, I feel differently. But with Kawhi, he is a player that can play at that level that you feel really confident that he will bring you to the finals. With a player like Paul George, it's, yeah, he's a nice player, but I don't feel that confident about it.
Let me ask you this, because I feel like this person. As great as Kawhi was last year, as great as Kawhi has been his entire career, last year kind of solidified his place in basketball history. He took a step up, especially after that shot. As much as it hurts to say, it's going to go down as he made that shit on the Sixers. You know what I mean? Especially after that shot. But I feel as good as he was last year, it was, he's a good player. He's a great player. He's one of the best players in the league. And then after that shot and then leading them to the championship and winning finals MVP, it turns into this is next tier. I feel like we don't remember that before that championship. Kawhi was up there, but after that, it was like, yo, he just led a team to a championship. I think that kind of put him in that, I don't know, you know what I mean? You start talking about that top tier player last year, kind of put him in that discussion. So I don't think that all those fans had that thought before they actually won.
That's interesting. So you're saying before that championship, we would put Kawhi maybe in the same category as Paul George, and now that he won it, we look at him differently?
He's a step up from Paul George, but I think that championship and that shit put him in the conversation with the LeBrons and shit of the world. And maybe not in basketball history as a whole, but as far as the active players right now, yes. Because I remember like that was all you saw of ESPN. Has Kawhi crossed over? Is he in the Jordan conversation? And that's when they start breaking down his game and the mid-range. Obviously, we all seen the mid-range and palming the ball and shit like that. But it was like after that championship, it was like, yo, he really just led this franchise. Now, he led the franchise there without LeBron being in the Eastern Conference Finals. There's a million asterisks. History's going to write it as they couldn't get there. He shows up. They get all the way there. They win. And then he dips. He entered a different stratosphere once they won.
I can agree with that. Yeah, people have him on that before this season, and watching LeBron play at the high level that he did, because LeBron had such a poor season the year before and was dealing with injuries, it was automatically Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the league over an injured KD at that point and over an injured LeBron. He jumped over all of them, which I feel as if maybe that's being in the moment and reacting to what is actually going on in that specific time.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was definitely, history is going to remember it one way, you know what I mean? History is going to be like, you know what I mean? Like he was great, but they're obviously going to say, you know, nobody's throwing him in the GOAT discussion yet.
Yeah, imagine if he wins 3.
I was about to say, now let's say the Clippers come back and they win, which I would love. I'm sorry.
Patrick Beverley, baby, are you kidding me?
I was about to say, if I'm rooting for any team out west, it's the Clippers. And if they come back and they win, now it's looked at, all right, the common denominator amongst the Spurs, that damn Toronto team that kept hitting that wall, and them, the Clippers, is Kawhi Leonard. Now the conversation changes of, I don't know, this might be the guy. But LeBron is LeBron, and as much as I give him shit, you got to respect the consistency of what he's done. He's going to, I think, I'll say this now, bros, and you know I hate giving him his props sometimes. LeBron has a legitimate shot to be the leading scorer in NBA history. Top 5 assists. He has the shot to be top 5 in damn near every category.
And he is known as a facilitator, which is the craziest part about it. And people will argue that that's a longevity thing, not a talent thing, which blows my mind. It could be both, right? I mean, it could be both. If I'm rooting for one team out in the West, it kills me because I hate the Lakers, but it would be LeBron winning the next ring because I want to see this argument continue to get closer. But I digress. We could sit here all day and do this. I love, by the way, how every episode, somehow it's implemented that LeBron and MJ or Kobe gets brought up. Every episode, there's a little hint.
That's the greatness of them. That's the standard. We gotta measure everybody else to them. I give them shit, but you gotta respect, right? If LeBron gets one more ring, that conversation changes. He gets to that 5th, in my eyes, he's the greatest player of all time.
Let's go. All right, let's spin it back to Kawhi and the shot. Because I know that there is a reaction to the play with 2 things in particular. And the first one, and I want to get your opinion on it being someone who played the game, was that in your eyes a travel?
Yeah, but you talked about this before, and I can't not agree. You don't call it right then. You don't call that a travel then. But yeah. I mean, shit, Jordan's shot on the Utah Jazz was a push-off. I don't think anybody wants to acknowledge when he crossed the shit out of him. If you look at his left hand, it was on his hip, and he pushed him. You don't call that then, though. You don't mess up that moment.
I love how you compared it to something. So the way that I compared it was, in football, when a wide receiver and a cornerback go against each other, if you wanted to look at every single play, you will find some sort of pass interference, whether it's a push-off, whether it's a hand check, whether it's pressing too hard, or after a certain point he puts his hand on him. You will find it on every play. And yes, by the technicality of the rule book in that situation, was it maybe a travel? Sure. I would never in a million years one, complain about that. It wasn't a blatant Rams versus Saints situation where it was pass interference in the NFC Championship game. This wasn't even close to that. I would never want the refs in that spot to call a travel. Imagine if that happened on the other side, if Joel Embiid hit a shot like that. The same people that were outraged now would then claim that that's ridiculous and you don't call that travel in that spot.
No, thank you. That was exactly what I was about to say. Put yourself in their shoes. If that happened to your team, would you be for it? Hell no. Let them get away with it. It's some of the beauty of sports. That's why, I mean, it makes for that what if scenario. It makes for the argument. It kind of ups things. It shows that the refs are human, but you don't call the travel on that spot. That was, like you said, it was art. It was beautiful basketball. The way that shit was executed, the way it all came down. If a damn whistle goes off after that shot goes in, travel gets waved off. It's like, ugh.
It would be brutal, and I personally believe that this is a little bit of a stretch. I think the crying about the travel is a stretch, in my opinion. I don't think about it, and I don't think it should be even talked about.
Yeah, and it's a stretch for one thing, but also after you just ran off those stats, come on, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're going to blame it all on the travel. What did you say they started off from? Oh, what was it? Missed the first 9 shots?
Yep, missed the first 9, only had 40 points at halftime, 15 turnovers, destroyed on the glass, 24 less shots. And keep in mind, everyone crushes Brett Brown for Jimmy Butler's late possessions. And to be fair, I think that is reasonable. I think maybe they could have done better things late in the game. I'm not saying anyone gets a free pass here, but people like to dial in on the 1-2 possessions late, but forget that there's how many minutes in each quarter?
Exactly. And that's a championship mentality. You don't start counting it at it's the fourth quarter, we got to lock it in. No. That ball goes up. Now we're going to, every single play, every single possession matters. And to start off missing your first 9 shots and have all those turnovers, you don't get to the end and then bitch about that. You should have been taking care of business in the beginning. So it's valuable. It's valuable if they would have used it. I don't like how it wasn't used. That is my problem with the Sixers. If that was used as fuel and that was used as, listen, we really got to buckle down and get our shit together. We change 1 or 2 of these mistakes, we win. We change 3 or 4 and we win by double digits. We change all of them. This isn't even a game. That should be motivation to get better. The fact that it didn't, happen this year, it's kind of hard to root for him.
The second thing that's always brought up is the defense on this play. You had Ben Simmons push Kawhi to his right, and then Joel Embiid kind of gets in there, and Joel Embiid gets the switch. He puts it up. I thought that they played that fine. I really did. I thought that was a fine defensive play. Kawhi Leonard literally shot the ball over Joel Embiid jumping vertically. It bounced off the rim 4 times and fell in. Don't tell me that needed to be defended way better than that. He was smothered.
Yeah. So what the hell do people say outside? What could have went better?
Well, they say that Ben Simmons should have stayed on him instead of Embiid going with the switch, or Joel Embiid could have been closer. I mean, it's very nitpicky because they know what occurred. Can't we just acknowledge the fact that was one of the craziest bounces in sports history?
Yeah, come on. Like you said, 4 times and then it goes in. It hurts because we're Sixers fans. But if we were if you're just basketball fans and not talking about it, that is beautiful.
Right, and I relate it to Damian Lillard. Every time I watch a Damian Lillard 3 or a big-time shot in a playoff game and he looks at the camera with that epic picture, it gives me the goosebumps because we watch it as just sports fans, and we don't care about being on the other side. This is different. But I feel like that is, you're searching, you're looking, you're trying to reach and grab for something that's not there. Good offense beats good defense in basketball, whether we like to admit it or not, sadly. Now you add a little bit of the basketball gods in the mix, and you're screwed as a defender. Yeah, exactly. Now, in a different world, if that bounces around 3-4 times, somebody flies in, a Marcus Gasol flies in and gets an offensive rebound, now I'm pissed. Now I got to look at that like, all right, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? Now I'm looking at the ref, if you would have called travel, that when that happened. Come on. It bounced around. That's interesting that you would have looked at the ref and been pissed off about the travel. You know what I'm looking at? Who the fuck is boxing him out? Now, I'm surprised. Now, shame on you. I'm a little disappointed in you. I'm not going to lie. Jay Wright would not be happy. No. What I'm saying is he wouldn't.
But what I'm saying is that led to that, that led to that, that led to that, and now I have a bit of a problem. But come on, man, the ball gets up there, he shoots it, the shit jumps around 3 or 4 times. At that point, it's in nobody's hand. Nobody control anything unless it was somebody in there with some type of super, kinetic powers or some shit like that controlling the ball. Or unless it was that, nobody had anything to do once that shot went up. But like I said, if he swoops in and gets offensive rebound, now it's all right, let's take this back a step. Let's look at what really happened here.
I am very disappointed in you. Very disappointed. Right now, I'm picturing you, national championship game. Marcus Page is somehow going in for a rebound. And here you are looking around, looking at the stands. So that's, section 202. Oh, the rebound. You're not everybody paying attention. And then you're going to blame the ref for a ticky-tack call that happened 2 minutes ago.
Everybody at that point is in a completely different space. I'm sorry. If it's not a buzzer beater, it's all right. You're a little more on edge. So you're right. Somebody should have boxed out, but at that, it's harder for me to look at that. I look at it like this. That year, we played Iowa, and Temple had played Iowa the game before, and it came down to the last shot. Somebody throws up the last shot. This kid from Iowa shoves the shit. Look up this play. 2016 tournament in Brooklyn. The kid who got shoved was Obi from Temple. I can't say his last name. I didn't want to try. This kid from Iowa, Brodes, I bullshit you not. Schoolyard pushes the shit out of this kid from Temple in the back. Shoves him under the basket, tips it in, game. As a Temple fan, I'm like, how did you miss that?
I actually remember that play.
So that's what I'm saying. If that game-winning shot comes off and somebody grabs it and then it's a flurry, now it's kind of harder to be, what the hell? Now you're kind of looking back 3-4 steps before that.
But now you're kind of changing the scenario a bit. Now you're throwing in a Rams-Saints situation where there was a blatant missed call going on, and I don't see the travel as a blatant missed call.
I do. It's the end of the game. It's the end of the game. It's a blatant miscall, but it's the very end of the game. On a travel, not a foul. I guess it's different. The Rams Saints situation, you're talking about a pay. Okay, all right. You're right. It's different. It's physicality versus technicality. So you're right.
The disappointment level. We grew up on the streets playing ball, D.Rey, all right? Come on now. Would you call that at LA Fitness on a Tuesday night at 7 o'clock with the guys who got off working 8 hours a day? No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't, but one of them would. It's always that one guy. It's always that one motherfucker at LA Fitness who does not get that call and is going to sit there and bitch about it. He'll grab the ball. He'll walk to the other end. No, it's all right. We're not ending on that. All right. Now we got to defend better and whoop their ass just to beat them fairly.
I'm picturing right now a short white dude with a sweatband and an arm sleeve with like old AI shoes with maybe not even high socks on, and he's got big ass baggy shorts that go way too far over the knee. That's what I'm picturing, the guy who calls out the travel.
You just described several people I'm good friends with who go to LA Fitness and would be the guy who called it.
Okay, all right, well, then I'm on to something here, right?
Shout out to Ev. He know who he is. He know who he is. The questions, the big shorts. He only sits in the corner and shoot threes. You just described the shit out of him.
Now, real quick before we move on, are you a high shorts guy, or like where do you sit on the fashion of the shorts? Yeah, I love the compressions. You got to go compressions, but I'm not. I can't do the too high of the short, but yet you cannot go too long either. You got it right above the knee.
I was about to say a little bit above the knee. I can't go with the 70s look. The your junk might fall out at any second look. That shit's weird. That's just weird because the jerseys aren't built the same. You know what I mean? The jerseys aren't skin tight anymore, so that shit you just look odd. But the coming out and I'm still stuck in 2002. My shorts are halfway through my shin.
Are you picturing the and one shorts, like the baggy shorts that are very wide?
Exactly, the halfway through my shins. No, those are terrible. The shorts look like fucking ship sails. No, I'm not for that at all. Right above the knee. I'm with you.
That's awesome. All right, let's transition here to some of the stats that occurred in that game that stand out to me. Now, the first thing, and I remember this, is Greg Monroe barely touched the floor. I mean, literally barely touched the floor. You cannot take Joel Embiid off the floor. He played 45 minutes. So Greg Monroe has 2 minutes on this stat sheet, but I think it rounds up. Say it was 1 minute and 45 seconds, it rounds up to the 2 minute mark. So I don't know officially what he did play, but it wasn't a lot. He was -9 in 2 minutes.
Jesus.
As soon as Embiid touched the bench, they got destroyed. I mean, we're talking about Greg Monroe in a playoff game on the road in Game 7.
Yeah, that's
why they went out and got Al Horford, because logically they needed a player that can fill that void when Embiid hit the bench, and sadly it hasn't really worked that way, but that was the logic behind it.
Yeah, no, I completely get it. Also, I still stand by the fact that I feel like part of getting Al Horford was, what is the one thing on the Celtics that we can acquire that really gives us hell? Al Horford. Go and get him. So I think that was a two-part thing. But after hearing that stat, I gotta agree. Yeah, no, we gotta have somebody that, all right, if he takes a damn breather, if he gets out to get a sip of Gatorade, the game isn't gonna go to shit. And -9 in 2 minutes, that's like hard to do almost.
That might be your boy Evan. Oh, I didn't have to do that. I didn't have to do that.
No. Ev got the chop. He's a sniper. Not when he might give up 15, but you're gonna get a good 12 out of him in threes. So
not when I'm on him.
Exactly. Smothering the shit out of him.
We're gonna do a 1-on-1, me and Evan live stream, Periscope.
I can't wait till he sees this shit.
You could be the ref. I want you first, though.
He's definitely gonna be forward. But no. Yeah, the Greg Monroe shit. That's -9 in less than 2 minutes. That's almost hard to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It really is. I mean, it's almost impossible.
It's almost like the other team saw him and was like,
if they didn't, then shame on them, and they shouldn't be playing in the NBA, right? I mean, all right, so the next thing that stands out to me is Kawhi Leonard scored 41 points. He took 39 shots. I mean, to say that the Sixers didn't make this guy work, he hit 16 shots in 39 attempts. I thought that when you look at the series as a whole, I thought Brett Brown coached his ass off.
Yeah, most definitely. It's only so much that can be put on him. You know what I mean? It's only so much that can be put on. Brett Brown don't step out there on the floor. What coach draws up a scheme where people miss their first 9 shots? That ain't on me as a damn coach. That's on y'all. You know what I mean? That's not on them. He did a good job.
There would be people to argue that if there was any coach in this world to do that, it would be Brett Brown, because he's that bad of a coach.
Hate the fuck out of here. That ain't
39 shots. That is obnoxious.
Yeah.
D-Ray, you ever take 39 shots in a game?
Hell no. I ain't never played with somebody.
What do you think would happen if you decided to do that against Creighton?
Yeah, you would see them transferring the next game. Hell no. And it wouldn't be my choice. 39 damn shots. But I think at that point for them, it was just, we're living and dying by Kawhi. We've been here time and time again, and we haven't made it happen. So we're living and dying by Kawhi. But 39 shots, Jesus Christ.
Well, I think the right job to do, the best thing to do if you are the Raptors is to live and die with your superstar at that point. It's just interesting to see some of the other players. Like Serge Ibaka was plus 22 in 29 minutes with 17 points. He had 8 boards and 3 assists, so he was definitely doing his job. Marc Gasol played 45 minutes, and it wasn't about the points. It was about what he did to Joel Embiid. I mean, Embiid was just – Marc Gasol is his father.
Yeah,
it's a shame, but it's just reality.
It hurts to admit, but I mean, bro, we said it before on here. That plus minus. If you call yourself a basketball fan and you don't acknowledge what that plus minus does for a game, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, it's interesting because now that I'm trying to think about it, normally Marc Gasol absolutely destroys him more. And B was plus 10, Marc Gasol was minus 10. Serge Ibaka did more damage in the plus-minus category than Gasol. But normally, I mean, we watched Embiid literally score 0 points on Marc Gasol. Scored 0 points. Yeah. Didn't score a damn bucket on Marc Gasol in a full basketball game. I mean, there's something mentally going on between that matchup.
I was about to say, to come to his defense, though, at the same time, it was like that part in the doc we were watching that Jordan missed all those shots, and they tried to blame it on Gary Payton. I don't think you can go for Jordan and just say he had something on his mind, but at the same time, you got to acknowledge.
That game, that might have been the game with that LaBradford Smith.
Oh, yeah, LaBradford Smith. They said he came out when it was both of them. You can't put that all on just the defense. As an offensive player that great, if you have a donut from the field, you had a bad night. Great defense, but a bad night. It was a perfect storm.
Well, for Kawhi's 39 shots, let's flip this around to Ben Simmons. And this hurts. I'm not going to lie. This is something that is unacceptable. It is so unacceptable to me. It almost blows my mind. We talk about how impossible being -9 is in 2 minutes. In 42 minutes of basketball, your primary ball handler had 5 field goal attempts. I can't say shots with Ben Simmons. He had 5 field goal attempts and 6 free throws.
Yeah.
That is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, and that's when everybody last summer was questioning, is he aggressive enough? Primary ball handler. What was he, the third best scorer last year?
Give or take.
Yeah, I was about to
one
say.
of the best.
I was about to say he was one of the best. You know what I'm saying, I'm thinking about, because at that point Tobias was there. Yeah, he might have been like the third.
But he wasn't implemented. Well, in terms of stats, I don't know where he fell, but we do realize that J.J. Redick was the go-to shooter that season with the dribble handoffs consistently. So J.J. Redick, I would say, was over Ben. Joel Embiid was over Ben. And at that point, probably Jimmy Butler. So maybe he was fourth. But on this team, even if he was fifth, it's still,
5 is crazy.
Right,
5 is crazy.
Right, it shouldn't be. Right.
Yeah, you can't defend that. You can't defend that at all. And unless he had, if it was like, it's one thing, it's like, oh, you had 5 attempts, but he had 13 assists, 11 rebounds. Now it's like, all right, we kind of get it. He wasn't looking to shoot. He was facilitating. But 5 attempts, and I'm pretty sure he didn't crack double digits in either one of those categories.
He had 13 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. He did have 3 blocks, but 5 personal fouls and was a +2. It's just not good enough. To put in comparison, James Ennis, who in his role, though, was to shoot the basketball, so it is different, but in 14 minutes he had 4 shots.
Yeah.
How can you even be on the same page and in the same category as James Ennis in a game when you played 30 more minutes? It is so bad. It is so bad. And that's where the Ben Simmons hate really picked up, because the playoff version of Ben Simmons needs to be at a complete opposite of what it was in Game 7.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think it's like a young LeBron in the sense of he's trying to make the right play, or do you think it's really just you don't show up?
I think,
because I get way back and forth between the two arguments.
No,
Some people say that he just gets there and just makes the right play.
I think he is wired to make the right play. If it's the game on the line and the Sixers need to win, Michael Jordan would say, I'm making that fucking shot. Ben Simmons and LeBron would say, I'm doing the best play available for my team. Whether that is me taking the shot, whether that's me finding an open player, whether it's me driving and getting fouled, even though Ben doesn't do that because his free throw shooting is bad. My point is, they will do whatever is best in that situation for the team, while MJ and maybe Kevin Durant and some of these other players, like, I'm taking that shot. I want the shot. Yeah. And I don't think one is wrong and one is right. I think people are obsessed with wanting to take the last shot. That doesn't mean that the other way is the bad option. But anyway. But with his skill set and the lack of the shooting and everybody knowing that, I don't think he tries to just sit around, but because every team knows how to do it based off of the Celtics putting it on display and Brad Stevens putting it on display, it's almost as if he has his hands tied behind his back until he takes the next step in his career and starts shooting the ball.
I absolutely agree. You got to at least attempt. I'd rather be sitting here saying he shot like Kawhi. Yeah, he only had X amount of points, but he shot 40 of them jump. You know what I mean? As opposed to he only even tried 5 times. It's hard to defend.
And 5 field goal attempts, none of those were legitimate shots, as if, here I go, I'm coming up the floor, I'm going to shoot a jump shot. It's going to the basket, it's a putback. I mean, he spent a lot of time in the dunker spot, because with that offense, there wasn't much for him to do because they had him on lockdown. They knew what to do with them. They were able to pretty much stop him from going downhill. And in the playoffs, you're going to stop players from going downhill. His best attribute isn't what is successful in the postseason. So there needs to be a development with him.
Yeah, he has to. But the Ben Simmons has to shoot argument is getting old. We all know he has to.
It really is. It's getting so old. And it's funny you mentioned that. He's been here for how many years now? I mean, off the top of my head, 4 seasons or so maybe. I'm just spitballing. That conversation has probably been talked about for 7 billion hours on Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio. If you have nothing to talk about, there's no sports going on, you hit that on-air button and you say, oh, Ben Simmons can't shoot. The phone lines light up. You'll have 4 hours of nonstop radio. It will be passionate radio. You'll get one extreme to the other side, and the people who love him and would never trade him, the people that despise him, and this will never work. It is crazy on how powerful that conversation really is.
Yeah, it's the favorite. I'm trying to think of it's up there with the will Kobe have been as good without Shaq argument. It really is just something that you can't. Yeah, it's almost it's bait. It's bait. You want to argue about some shit? You want to get into something? You want something? Hey, watch this. Watch this. You know what I mean? It's like yelling fire in a damn bar. Watch what's about to happen when I do this shit. So
no, you're right. It's sparking everyone. But at the same time, I do see why it is a conversation that can be very passionate, because this is something that the NBA has really never seen. They've seen guys who can't shoot very well, but to a Ben Simmons level, here we go. It's blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind.
Johnson?
But it's not the same.
It was a different game. It was a different game back then. I think that's what it is. You're in an era where it's almost like if you can't
shooting. Steph Curry, Damian Lillard can hit a half court shot. So can Steph, but Dame, you can really see the progression. He can walk up to anywhere from like the logo and just rock it confidently.
Yeah, it's changing. It's gonna be interesting to me. I don't know if you know this. A lot of teams, Sixers being one of them, they have a 4-point line now. Do you think we'll ever see a day where that shit's introduced because of the difficulty of that shot?
They have a 4-point line, what, in the Camden facility?
In practice, yeah, they do. And a lot of NBA practice facilities.
What that tells me is they know something that we don't know, and it's coming. I mean, I know it's been discussed here and there where they do it. I think at some point, listen, there wasn't a 3-point line, and right now we can't imagine this game without a 3-point line.
Yeah.
So I think there will be a 4-point line added. Oh, my Lord, that changes so much strategy late in the games and all these plays.
I seen that shit. I had my workout. I was, what the hell is this? And he was like, that's the 4-point line.
The big man might be actually not a part of basketball if they continue to do this, right? Or
no. I think the big man I think it changes ISO ball. It changes the shit out of some defense. If you have players who consistently, like a Dame, step over half and launch, that changes the shit out of a defensive scheme. That changes the shit out of a defensive scheme. So as a big man, you got to be able to work out a little more. You got to be able to ISO. Because that shot is so difficult, it's kind of hard to rank it as the same as a 3-point shot. It's about 10 feet behind the 3-point line. About 8 or 9.
Okay, that's still 8 or 9, 10. Guess what? I'm making 0 of those at LA Fitness. I'll tell you that for free. Here's what I think is the craziest part about that scenario. I'm thinking more of late in the games. Say there's 2 minutes left. One team hits a 4-pointer. And then the team calls a timeout, and they draw up a play, and there's 1:30 left, and they knock down the threes. Now it's a 1-point game. And, just because the power of that 4-pointer, you could have 2 minutes and 20 seconds left and utilize these timeouts, and the strategy late in the games will completely change.
Yeah. Obviously, I think fouls are called as much as they're called because of the want to up the score. Same thing in the NFL. Everybody bitches about the NFL. Nobody runs the ball anymore. Everybody passes it. They're trying to get, higher volume as far as the scores go, but a 4-point shot, the idea of imagining with a 4-point shot a game ending under 100 in the NBA is crazy. You know what I mean? Remember we talking about the Jordan Doc thing, and it's like they won that game 81-85, and it's what the fuck? You know what I mean? If you saw a game 81-85 right now, it's like that was a fucking dogfight. You know what I mean? But back then it was like, no, that was a good game. That was a solid score. Nowadays you see scores in 120, 130. I think the average score of the NBA game is like 120 up.
And I wonder if does that change defense, or does that just well, I know it'll change defense scheme wise, but I'm saying, will it be 120, 130, 140 point games because the defense is bad, or is it because the points are scored at a higher clip because they're worth more? Most people would say, well, that's because there's no defense. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that, but think about setting a screen up high, real high, going around the pick. And, you got the pick and roll action. Here's the funny part. Now I'm picturing a pick and roll outside. You do a pick and roll by the 4-point line, and you can actually hit them rolling for a 3-pointer, not even going to the rim.
Exactly. That's what I thought. But I was like, as a defender, because I'm thinking about, I was like I said, I'm finisher around the rim, screener, rebounder. That was my job.
Down, vertical guy. I was about to say. I see you perfectly. It's vertical. And then I see the ref blowing the whistle, and you're going like that.
Exactly. Like, that is crazy. But the idea that you could be rolling for threes at this point, or as a defender of a screen, you got to get out there and defend that. Imagine a hedge out at half court. What the fuck? Like, why are you hedging out here? But it really changes. When I saw that, once they introduced that, and I can imagine somebody said the same thing with 3-pointer. Once you introduce that, you are looking at a completely different game.
Now, do they change? I'm thinking of the corner threes. Like, do they change the dimensions of the court, or it's just around the top of the keys?
It rounds out. You know, like the 3-point line goes out, and like you said, it rounds out to the threes. The 4-point line just rounds out to the sideline, so it just goes out. You know what I mean? So it's really not. It really is a matter of how far you are. It's not a matter of, obviously the corner ones are going to be a little bit closer, but it truly is a matter of, no, you got to be out there to hit that shit.
Wow. And I wonder if at some point, if that's the 4-point line, if you drill one from the other side of the half-court line, why not just make that 5 at this point, no?
That's disgusting.
What do you mean? We're talking about adding a 4-point line right now, and you're screaming at me for the 5th.
No. What I'm saying is people are going to start, you know what I mean? They're going to pull an Andrew Bynum, get a rebound, and just chuck the shit. No.
Well, hold on. I think, now that we're breaking this down, it should just be like a striped court. And listen, once you're past the 4-point line, you got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So what the hell? Why not at this point? Just make it whatever.
That is ridiculous.
They should have one where if you're underneath your own basket and you take that last shot, only with the last shot, doesn't even matter what the score is. You could be down 70. You make that shot, and boom.
Sudden death.
Why not? What the hell at this point?
I just picture dodgeball. When I heard that scenario, you launch one from under your basket. This is sudden death. You're going down the floor. As Ben Simmons, Tom Brady's the shit from the other end of the court. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, you would make that your. See, now we're getting strategic, and we're starting to think here. God. You would then probably draft a quarterback, sign a quarterback just for late game situations. He'll be the last guy on the bench. But hey, if you need that spot, there you have it. Drew Brees on the Sixers, incoming.
Basketball. No, I can't. At that point, I'm just watching soccer. That's no knock to soccer, but it's like I can't be a part of this shit anymore. It's terrible.
What the hell just happened to our conversation?
I don't know. It went off the rails.
I think it's a.
But the 4-point shot. We're saying it first. The 4-point shot. I would love for us to look up in a couple of years and let's go back. Let's rewind the tape. We said this shit was coming because it was the same thing with the 3-point shot. Everybody says if Larry Bird had a 3-point shot the entire career, you're looking at a different scoring champ. You know what I mean? It changes the dynamic of basketball. I think it's coming.
I think it is too. I really do. If NBA teams are implementing that in practice, there's some sort of noise going on. They wouldn't just do that for fun, right? So There's obviously that conversation happening. So with that being said, well, I think this is a great time to end this. We were going on some sort of path there that I'm afraid to continue. Who knows where it would have landed, to be honest with you, and I don't even want to think about it. So, D.Rey, another great one in the books, my friend.
Let's keep it going, bro.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time.